as we get the call going. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we've got 3 masterminds, about 150 people participating in the different masterminds, and there's Shawn's groups. You see Shawn over there, the upper left, maybe.
Hi.
And
hey, Shawn.
How you doing?
anyway, so why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself for those people that don't know, and what you do and what you're about and all that good stuff.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, I started selling on Amazon myself about 2.5 years ago. So this is at the beginning of 2013. I originally got started, just kind of messing around, reselling a few things. Saw the opportunity in that to quit my corporate job, which I wasn't a big fan of. So scaled up over the next couple of years. I originally started selling just wholesale type products, sourcing from traditional wholesalers. I think it was the beginning of 2014 where I started, kind of this private label model that a lot of people are doing now. And yeah, kind of where I'm at today is I have a small team to help me and I have a partner in it. But we do over 400,000 in revenue now each month. And then at the beginning of this year, I started JungleScout. It was kind of a product that that I created for myself. Originally, it was like really crude and kind of buggy and stuff. One of my buddies kind of talked me into selling it to the general public, so I polished it up a little bit, and then I launched JungleScout at the beginning of this year. And now I'm kind of I still probably devote half my time to my Amazon business, and then half my time now is working on the software side of things.
You're still an active seller on Amazon then, yeah?
Yeah, still an active seller. Still my main source of income. I got a team of 5 people on that side of things that they handle they're pretty good about handling all the day-to-day operations now. I still just work on growing it, developing new product lines. But yeah, still definitely an active seller myself.
No, I was privy to another webinar that you were on here recently, and you're saying something. You're doing a lot of traveling, right?
Yeah. So actually, my wife and I, we packed up our bags in February and haven't been home since. Most of our time spent in Southeast Asia. I'm actually in Australia right now, though. And this was actually kind of I was in Bali, and we had like a 30-day visa that expired. So we went down to Cairns in Australia because it was like the shortest, quickest, cheapest flight. We were supposed to just hang out there for a week. And then there's a volcano erupting right now in Indonesia. They're still spewing a lot of ash. So it's kind of shut down all the flights back into Bali. So we were supposed to go back to Bali like a week ago. Haven't been able to get back into Bali. So now we came down to Sydney and we're spending some time here. So all the operations are remote. 2 of the members of my team are still kind of on location back in Maryland in the States. And that's where we receive shipments before we send them into Amazon. And then everyone else, both on JungleScout and everyone else on the Amazon stuff's remote. So kind of all around the world.
Yeah, so how are you sourcing product? I mean, are you just depending on staff to sending your refill orders? Or, I mean, are you doing mostly wholesale, or is there any online or retail arbitrage that you guys do? Or
no retail or online type arbitrage. It's all either private label products or from traditional wholesalers. So yeah, one of my employees, he's pretty much is full time just taking care of restocking inventory and working with our suppliers and that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that I've kind of created standards, a system around it, and I've been able to pass off that part to, one of my employees to take over.
How long did it take you to create all that? Thank you. How long did it take you to create all the documentation or the training material or whatever so that you could hand that stuff off?
Yeah, I guess it's like an ongoing process. I'm still creating documentation today. I try to be. So it took me like a year until I really realized how powerful the Amazon channel is, and realized that, man, I need to start trying to scale this up. So the first year I did everything all by myself, and the growth was obviously like relatively slow that year compared to like after I put a team together. And still then I was kind of like bad about like training or creating like, SOPs and that kind of thing. So now I'm pretty good. Like instead of like hopping on a Skype call to show them something for like 30 minutes, instead I'll create a video. I'll put it into kind of a library, and now like any new employees or I have to replace an employee or something, I can hand over like a series of training videos that I've created just to use in-house. So I'm still like ongoing to do those. Like if I get a question and I feel like someone doesn't fully understand something, I'll record like a quick 10 or 20 minute video, put that into the library, and then they can watch that today. And then anyone moving forward, I can also give them that video.
Yeah, that's smart. SOP, for those of you that don't know, is standard operating procedure. So it's just a document that gets created that describes exactly what you want to have happen.
Yeah.
Right?
So we'll have one for like for instance, when we want to like drop a product that we were sourcing from wholesale before, we'll say, okay, if the margins are this slim, or we're only selling this many a month, or so forth, and that's a product that we won't reorder, or I'll just have general procedures for all those different types of scenarios. Or same thing like if we're looking for a new product to private label, it needs to meet these guidelines before we're willing to take it on.
Right, make the investment.
Yeah,
exactly. I just released my first private label product, and I'm glad I did it because it's the first one, but I can see really quickly how I maybe should have been a little bit more sensitive to the returns.
Yeah.
It's definitely not a home run, but we're working on it and we're learning the ropes. And as that's, having one that we just go through the motions on is important. So we'll get better products later on.
Yeah, that's what I kind of tell people who are like real hesitant. Like pretty much worst case scenario, I feel like you can always like drop the price so low that you just break even and just kind of unload it, and then it's a huge learning process. And like you said, you learn so much just from doing it once yourself that it's like, okay, I know how to nail it on the next one.
Are there tools that you use besides JungleScout that help you when you're evaluating potential new private label product?
Pretty much just a combination of JungleScout, and then if I'm worried about like the seasonality of the product, then I'll just look on like Camel or Google Trends. But I definitely use lots of different pieces of software. But as far as sourcing new products, pretty much just JungleScout.
Just kind of working your way through the Amazon catalog and figuring out what's best. And
I've got a few like kind of tricks I can show you guys if you want. You want me to do a screen share?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Hey, Shawn, there's a few folks that are still not muted. I think I heard somebody clearing their throat a minute ago. So.
Yeah, I'll double check on that. No, it's just us that are unmuted. So
there's a LA Walk.
I don't see that.
You might have to scroll to the right.
Yeah.
Are you able to share your screen?
I believe so. Can you see it?
Yep, that's it. Good.
All right, sweet. All right, cool. So as you guys can see, let's see, I got some other junk in the way here. I'm on the Amazon store. So I'll go over a couple ways that I come up with new product ideas. And would you rather me focus kind of on private label ideas or wholesale ideas or both? Or
I think the main focus of the group right now is wholesale, right, Shawn?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people interested in wholesale. Basically, everybody just wants to see, the process to go through. So I think it would be similar either way.
Yeah. So I'll kind of I'll just go over both. So as far as like wholesale stuff, how I look at it is I'll either like develop a relationship with a manufacturer or a factory or whatever, and get like a list of products from them, or sometimes it's kind of the other way around. They more just want me to tell them what products I'm looking at ordering. So let's say, for instance, I develop a relationship with this is the water bottle I have. So this company is called Hydro Flask. Looks like I can draw on my screen. I don't know how I did that. Anyway. Oh, well, it's just one little pink line. So anyway, let's say I've developed this relationship with this company, Hydro Flask, and they are willing to sell to me. So I said, I'm thinking, okay, and this is like a relatively well-known company. Some of the smaller ones, what I'll find is a lot of their items don't sell well, so I'm not interested in this. So what I'll do is, I'll actually a better way to do it. So, I'll search for Amazon. I'll click into one of these items, and I'll go into their brand page, right? So if I click this link, all these items, then these are all the items that are already listed on Amazon and are, sold from this brand. So I'll run JungleScout on this page, and then what I'll do is I'm only interested in ordering or selling products from them that are going to have a high enough margin and are going to sell enough velocity each month. So then what I can do is we'll go ahead and extract one more page because I know they have quite a bit of units. But then what I can do is I can filter or sort these products so that there's only ones that meet my criteria. So do some of you guys have JungleScout Pro or just the regular one, or do you know about Pro?
Yeah, I was demonstrating some of the stuff about Pro in that in last week's call. So
okay, cool. Because I've got JungleScout Pro up here. You can do it with the regular one too. There's just a few more bells and whistles with this one. So yeah, I might put a filter in here and say that I only want something that sells a minimum of let's say like 30 a month, one a day. So yeah, we'll go ahead and filter those out. So now, I have something that, so like if I was looking for a private label product, I want something that sells like 10 a day just because it's a lot more work to get it set up and stuff. If I'm just sourcing something from a wholesaler, I'm cool if it only sells like one a day. So now I have all these items that are estimated to sell at least one a day. And from here, I could go through and so I might filter out Amazon because, again, if I'm selling a wholesale product, I don't want to compete for the buy box against Amazon. So I'm going to filter them out. And now I'm just left with products that are sold via FBA or, by a third-party merchant. And then from here, I could compare my net price. So this would be after the FBA fees are taken out. I could compare this to what the, the price that they're willing to sell for me. So, if this item right here, they'd sell for me for like, maybe $8 or $10. This might be a product I'm willing to take on. This item right here for $6, there's practically no margin left over. I'm probably not going to take on this item, even if I can only get it for like 50 cents. But yeah, so that, that's just kind of how I usually go about doing it.
Having that net calculation in Pro is huge.
Yeah, it's a huge time saver.
Thing at ASD, we had price lists, and we just, we're able to look at the net and see right away, are we going to be able to make money or not?
Yeah, it was pretty time consuming before having to like take one ASIN at a time and plug it into the FBA fee calculator. Because some of this stuff surprises you because maybe it'll be like a relative, it'll be like on the verge of standard and oversized. So, or like me at least, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think this item should be that much for FBA fees. And it's like, whoa, it was like 18.5 inches one of the sides. So all of a sudden it's oversized. And then now it's like, dang, this thing's, there's no money left over for me to make on it. So yeah, some of the, that's a great way to use it. Say, for instance, if I'm looking for product ideas. So this would probably be more for like, my private label type stuff, but you can use it for the wholesale stuff too. And what I'll do is I'll click on a seller who's either, if I'm looking for private label stuff, who's a private label seller. If I'm looking for wholesale products, I'll maybe look for one of my competitors. And usually once you start selling some stuff, you'll realize that you'll see you're competing as the buy box against the same people a lot of times. I know, like, for my wholesale business, we sell quite a bit of health and personal care. And I know there's like a few other major players in health and personal care who I seem to be competing against a lot. So I could go in and do this on theirs. But So I could go in and click on a seller who, like I said, it's either a private label seller that you're looking for ideas, or, you know, someone maybe in like your kind of niche. And again, I can run JungleScout on this page, or actually, I prefer clicking into this storefront page just because I like how Amazon organizes them better on that page. So I'm going to click into the storefront. I don't know how to get this pink line to go away.
This page here seems to be a little bit more organized for bestsellers, right? Than
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I prefer to click into this page. So yeah, from here, it's just a great spot to just get ideas. You know, I'm not like a very like creative person myself. I'm like terrible at thinking of new ideas. So without this, I'll just like get stuck in a rut. Like, I have no idea what to sell. So we'll go ahead and extract one more page. And then kind of similar thing, you know, on this page, I can either filter the results, or I can just sort by the column headers just by clicking on them. So, you know, let's look at their best-selling products. From there, you know, I can just kind of look through each one, see, you know, if it's a private label type product, maybe get an idea where I can search on it further. Yeah, if they're from wholesalers, I can maybe look into contacting some of these brands. But yeah, this is just another great way to get ideas. Yeah, so we'll, you know, yeah.
Your estimated sales. Can you share where that comes from? Because, you know, there's some competing products that the sales are just completely off.
Yeah.
The few things I've checked, you know, products that I was actually selling with JungleScout, you know, seem to be pretty close. So, you know, a lot of people had that question of, you know, how accurate is that number?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. So yeah, we're the only ones in the industry. Well, let me explain to you how we get this. So what we do is we follow a few thousand products in each category, spread out from all different ranks, and we track them on a daily basis and how many units they sell on a daily basis. So we track total, I think like 40, 50, 60,000 products every day. And then each month, as you can imagine, we'll have like over 1 million data points from that compare their rank with their sales for that day. And from what I can tell, we're definitely the only ones in the industry collecting all this data right now. And I'm sure the reason for that is it's really expensive and time consuming to get it. You know, coming up with an extension that just lists this product, this is fairly easy to do. So, you know, of course, people have kind of seen JungleScout and how a lot of people liked it. So, of course, there's like some other competitors now. But we're the only ones that are actually like building and showing all this data off, you know, like cold, hard facts, cold, hard data that we're collecting ourselves. So, yeah, as you can imagine, we'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of points for each category. We can plot this out and then from that develop models and algorithms to accurately estimate it. And since we're continually doing this, we're always updating our, you know, our algorithms. You guys might have seen an email I sent out, I guess just this morning, your time, you know, with the updated information from this previous month. So yeah, you know, we do a pretty good job of always keeping it up to date. The method of estimating sales based off rank, it's never going to be perfect. And I don't really have like a chart to show you guys right now, but if you were to see this, you'd see that, for instance, this item right here, it has a rank of about 212. Like one day, this rank might sell 50 of products that day, and the next day it might sell 75 products. But what we're able to do, since we collect so many data points, we're able to kind of average that out to what it normally sells. Some might say, hey, you know, I've got a product ranked the same thing, and it only sold, you know, like 1,700 last month, or it sold 2,200 last month. And that is because there is a little bit of variation in it, but you know, since Amazon obviously doesn't release this data, this is the kind of the best way we know of to do it. So it's never going to be exactly perfect, but it's good enough that you can get a good estimate of how much something sells, or, you know, good enough that you can forecast for the next months approximately how many units it's going to sell.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
The Amazon API doesn't give that information out.
Nah, I wish.
You're being creative on how you're pulling that information.
They don't even give you the reviews anymore.
Yeah, they don't give you the reviews. Yeah, you got to be a little bit creative, and that's why I said it's pretty expensive to be able to get all the information. I guess when you know, I'm just an Amazon seller myself. Going into software, I didn't know a ton about it. So I think my developers kind of laughed at me, like, when I was like, okay, we need to follow like every product that Amazon owns. And they're like, dude, like, we don't have a warehouse of servers like Google does. Like, let's scale this into something that might be affordable, unless like you just have $100 million that you want to start spending. So, yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been in development on it since you started?
Yeah, so I was using it for myself for a few months. That would have been like the end of 2014 is when I started. And then today, I still have a developer that pretty much works full time just on the extension. Just, you know, different things, improving it, adding new features, working on the back end as far as data collection. So, yeah, so we're still improving it every day. I think we're getting ready to release some new features maybe next week for both JungleScout and JungleScout Pro.
Right on. If there was let's say 2 or 3 things that you could have done differently when you started up, what do you think that those things would have been?
Different things starting up.
What do you think would have given you the most leverage to grow faster than you did? You know, that you would have done differently maybe?
Hey, you're talking about the Amazon side of stuff, right? Not the software?
Yeah.
Okay. The best thing would have been to start outsourcing tasks sooner. You know, a few years ago, I had this mentality, which is a horrible mentality, that I'm saving money by like trying to do everything myself, you know, like not paying someone else. And, you know, once you have a good business model, you should definitely be able to still make money by paying someone else to do all the same tasks. And then that just lets you focus kind of on more like upper level, more valuable tasks. So definitely, you know, outsourcing tasks and just developing systems instead of trying to do everything myself. And yeah, so that'd be the big one. One of the other reasons I was able to kind of scale quickly is I took on a partner fairly early on. And today, I still think it was a good move. He backed me financially because if you want to scale pretty quick, it does require us, you know, a fair amount of cash to be able to, you know, I'd say like, okay, I have all these products that I know I can make money on, but, you know, I need $100,000 to order them. And it did help me scale quickly by having some financial backing, you know, someone else's bank to use, because like I said, before that, I was just working a corporate job. Like I was an engineer. So yeah, you know, if you can maybe find someone else to team up with, if you're looking to scale really quickly. But the other thing is one of the reasons I love this business is, you know, not everyone wants to scale this into like, you know, a huge business where they could potentially make hundreds of thousands of dollars each year. You know, the great thing about this business is it is relatively easy to get into and just make, say, like $50,000 or $100,000 a year, where you can, you know, live an awesome life off that, obviously. And yeah, you know, you could set it up so you know you get a fair amount of products going, and then from that you don't have to work. You know, maybe you'd only spend 10 or 20 hours a week and still making more money you did, you know, than like at your old job.
Yeah.
Right. That's you know, that's a lot of the things that I tell people too. You know, people think that you can't you not everybody wants to do that. Somebody was just posting on another message board recently about, who wants a big warehouse? I mean, I want a big warehouse. I have like 6 people that work for me, and that's really the best decision I ever made, was hiring, my first employee. But, out of 100 people, maybe 1 or 2, wanted that. So, when we're doing this, a lot of people forget about that fact.
Yeah, it can be just like an awesome lifestyle business, that, make good money, maybe only spend 10 or 20 hours a week once you get it started. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't like some kind of get-rich-quick scam. Those never work anyway. It will take some work to get started, but it's definitely something that, what's awesome about FBA is Amazon can take over a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And then, yeah, you can get an awesome lifestyle business going as well.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cool that, after 3 years, give or take, you and your wife just kind of packed up some bags and started traveling the world. And, I mean, now that's really shorthand, right? Hopefully there's not people on the call that don't think like you just like slept for 3 years and then all of a sudden woke up and went traveling. I mean, you bust your in, right? It's hard work, but
yeah, and I'm actually hesitant to like tell some people about that, because I don't want them to like get the impression that like, I mean, to me, it kind of sounds like almost like scammy, or like usually don't tell people that when I first meet them, because it sounds like kind of scammy, like, oh, do what I do, and then you're sitting around the beaches sipping Mai Tais. It's not really like that. Like, I spent a few years of hard work to get going, and then my last move was to like hire a manager for the company to replace me. So it was definitely like a lot of planning and hard work to get to that, and I'm still working on the road as well. So.
Right.
I just get a little different change, a little change of scenery from.
I mean, I think it takes a certain kind of personality too to be able to hand the reins over to a manager that's gonna, to train somebody that can in effect replace you.
Right.
A lot of people have like big trust issues with that, and but that's the kind of the theme. As I talk to more and more guys that are at that level, at your level, they get past that trust thing, right? They just know that the only way to get to that next level is to leverage them, leverage other people's time and abilities and talents and
right.
make that move, right? Well, what do you think was what was the hardest part about that for you?
Because like you said, I like had some trouble with that too. Like you said, you eventually just have to get over it, and it's like, they're not going to do as good of a job as you do. Like, no one else is going to run your business as good as you do. But like at the end of the day or the end of the year, whatever, maybe, if I was still doing that, maybe I would have been able to grow like a little bit more, or like done that one little spot like a little bit better. But I prefer maybe to, I don't know, like, you just have to, like, I guess, make the leap and just know they're not going to do as great of a job as you do, but it's still good enough. And that by able to reuse that time on something else, like, I was able to start up a little software company, and I was able to focus more on big picture about, where I want the company to head and stuff, that it's definitely going to be a good move.
Right
just
on.
Train them as well as you can and put a little trust into them.
Okay, so Shawn, if you're okay, why don't we go ahead and open up the chat for some questions, and Greg, are you okay to field some questions from the members
Yeah,
here?
sure thing. I'd be happy to. Yep.
Okay, so Darren was asking, on the estimated sales per month, is that per month, or is that, like, how do you aggregate that? Is that per quarter, per month, or last 30 days, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's for a 30-day period, and a lot of people have the question and say, like, is that the last 30 days or the next 30 days? Think of it like this. If the item keeps selling as well as it has today, the day that you run JungleScout, that's how many units it will sell over 30 days.
Okay, so you're actually not really aggregating it over a 30-day period. You're just like, okay, we think that it's selling this many per month today, and that's what our estimate's based on. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So one other thing to be mindful of is if and the one thing that can kind of throw that off is if there's like a huge spike, say they did like a huge giveaway to like get a bunch of reviews that day or something, that will be it will be a little bit off. It's not super common, but it's something to be mindful of. Maybe you could check it today and then check it again in a few days before you actually pull the trigger ordering that product, just to make sure that it's still similar.
Are you, as a follow-up to that, this is a personal question for me, but are you guys collecting and storing all the data that you're collecting so that you can start to aggregate some of that information, like, Q1 numbers versus Q4 numbers and that kind of thing? Or
Yeah,
is it
absolutely.
too expensive to store all that data?
No, we're definitely storing it. So I'm like a huge data nerd. Like I said, I used to be like an engineer before I got into this. So I love just seeing how sales change from month to month and all that kind of stuff. So like I said, I'm pretty sure we're the only ones in the industry, at least that I know of, that are collecting all this data. So after we have 6 months and then a year's worth, we can start doing some really cool things. As far as forecasting, adjustments for forecasting, and as you can imagine, with all that data, you can just do all kinds of different stuff. So and we're factoring into our algorithms now slight adjustments for how we think sales are changing month to month, because the estimates we just put, our new algorithms that we put out today were based off July's data, but slightly adjusted for how we think those categories change in sales for August. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's awesome. Yeah, it'll be fun. Feature request, where you have little pop-up charts when you hover over the item, right? Or hover over the category and you see the little trend bar. That would be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm not spending the money developing the software. That's you. So, all right. So Darren also asked, what about hiring someone to just do the packing and shipping? I love the buying part, but hate the packing part. I mean, I hate the packing part too. So
that was my first hire, was someone just to do the warehouse type tasks, I started them out part-time. I think they were just 20 hours a week to start, and then quickly moved into full-time. But yeah, that was my first hire. It can get pretty time consuming, to receive shipments, send it back into Amazon. So I would definitely recommend I think that's a good first hire.
What's a good expectation for a packing person, or a prep person? What's a good amount of work to expect them to do in a day? Because that's something I always struggle with, right? Since I'm not at that level, I don't know if they're doing good work for me or if they're not doing good work for me,
Right. I kind of figure it, before it was taking me, when I hired that person for 20 hours, I kind of just figured, it's taking me maybe 10, 15 hours a week. So hiring someone new who's maybe a little bit slower, and like I said, no one's going to run your business quite as good as you are, really hustling in there. So if it takes me 10 or 15 hours a week, I kind of expect them to take 20. It's just kind of hard to say. Obviously, if you're doing, maybe have a private label product that you're ordering 1,000 or 2,000 units at a time, and you don't even have to sticker them, because on my private label product, since I don't have to share the buy box with anyone, I just do co-mingled inventory because there's no one else selling this product. So on those, I'll receive a few skids, and that's pretty easy. I can get those in and out in no time. Whereas if it's something I have to open, sticker all the items, repack, send to a few different warehouses, it's going to take longer. So it's kind of hard to say how many units per day. I just factor off kind of how long it was taking me.
Right on. Would you mind maybe sharing your screen again? And Philip was asking, what do you look at to determine if there's too much competition or not enough volume? Maybe just go to some random category, I don't know, keyboards or something. I don't know, just pick some random category and then run us through. Maybe you'll find a good product.
All right, so this is now. I guess let me Are you talking about a single good product to private label, or like what are my standards for something I get from a wholesaler?
Well, let's try wholesaler first, and then yeah, let's do wholesaler for now.
Okay, so my and these are kind of loose guidelines, and I'll let them change a little bit. But I want something that from a wholesaler, just as like a general rule of thumb, my margins are about at least 20%. So to me, for whatever reason, it's kind of always hard for me to think about this because Amazon gets a cut too. So so a 33% margin would be on a $30 product. If Amazon took $10, it cost me $10 to land the item, and I made $10 profit, right? So it's all. I feel like the margins calculation is always a little bit harder because Amazon takes a cut too, as opposed to like if I had a brick and mortar store, a 50% margin would be if I bought it for $10 and sold it for 20. But anyway, right. So I look for a minimum of 20% margin if it's going to sell 1 unit a day. If it only sells like 10 units a month, so 1 every 3 days, but the margin's higher, then I might take on that product. As far as competition for my wholesale products, I don't want to sell anything that Amazon's in the that also sells it, because they favor themselves for the buy box over FBA sellers. And yeah, I just look for something that maybe there's less than, or I try not to sell something that has too many sellers, like maybe like over 10. But again, how I figure out how many I think I'm going to sell, let me show you, would be I divide the estimated sales per month by the number of sellers. So I just, right. And again, this is never going to be completely correct, but I just assume all the sellers are going to rotate through the buy box evenly. So let's see, on this product,
on this search though, you would apply the filter first though, right?
Yeah, usually so. So I was going over
take Amazon out, and then
so yeah, let's say I want something that at least sells 30 a month. We'll go and filter that and see what we come up with. So okay, right away I got rid of a lot of these. Something like this, 21 sellers, that's a lot. You can kind of use your judgment, but if you divide 480 by 21 sellers, what's that, like 20 a month per seller? So yeah, all these have quite a few sellers. This guy, it's only 1. Just guessing this might be a private label product. I don't know, but
I think that's a good answer, right? What you're saying is if you take the number of sellers divided by the total number of estimated sales and it comes out to less than 30, then that's going to be your cutoff, right?
Usually so, unless it just has awesome margins.
Right. Unless, yeah, exactly. So, but for a standard like 30% margin deal, you want at least 1 sale a day as your share of the buy box.
Usually so. Other than that, you just have to figure if it's worth the hassle of taking on the product. And of course, slow moving products are going to tie up your cash longer, in your inventory. We want, a little bit quicker turnaround, frees up your cash quicker so you can buy more inventory and grow. Right on. So then I'm usually not even too concerned with Amazon storage fees. Are super reasonable until you get to like 6 months and a year, I'm usually not even that worried about their storage fees, more so just tying up my cash for long periods of time. Right. I mean, I figure that anything that doesn't sell Q1 through 3 will sell probably in Q4. So yeah. even if I buy something like I make a really bad buying decision in Q1, it'll probably sell out in Q4. The service, yeah. But yeah, I mean, my primary concern there is how much cash am I tying up? Yeah, that's the real problem with having your cash inventory for so long. Now, could you do the same thing for like a private label for those people who are a little more advanced in the group? Sure. So with private label, it's a little bit different ball game because remember, I'm going to create my own listing and I'm not sharing the buy box with anyone else. So now all of a sudden with private label products, I'm worried about how much demand there is for that style of product and how much competition I have. So what I like to say for demand is I like to see, and this is just, again, a rule of thumb that I use. You can use something different, but I like to see about 3,000 units of that style of item sold every month. And the reason I say that is I roughly factor any item that I'm willing to add on as a private label item. I figure I can at least capture 10% of the sales, and that would be 10 units a day. So if we look at, I searched children's garden tools. So remember, I want 3,000 items of this style of product. So, this guy's selling about 500, again, another 500, 200, puts us at 1,200. This one is probably not going to have 3,000 units if I add all these up. So on this one, to me, there's not quite enough quite enough demand. So when I say that, like, enough people already searching for this item in Amazon, and purchasing. Now let's pretend though if there was approximately 3,000 units of this style of item already being sold, then I'd want something without too much competition. And the easiest way to look at that is just how many reviews there are. If I saw these top 20 people all have, or top even 15 people all have like 500, 800, 1,000 reviews, I know it's something that I probably can't rank for relatively quickly. So it's not something that I'd really want to take on. This item right here, I'd say that there is not too much competition. This guy right here, he's in the number 4 spot. He's selling the product, children's garden tools. He only has, 5 reviews. And then I see some other guys at 7 and 8 with only 18 and 7 reviews. So, I could do a giveaway to start off and easily get 30, 40, 50 reviews. And then I imagine I'd be in these top, 6 or 8 spots, start getting some sales.
Do you ever worry about doing the giveaways to other people, other Amazon sellers and that kind of thing when you're starting out with a private label product?
Because they would resell it or take the idea or?
Right. Yeah.
I try not to worry about things like that too much because you can only minimize that risk so much, At some point, you just kind of have to stop worrying about things like that and just focus on growing your own business,
Right.
I guess if they resell it, it's like worst case scenario. I have a few other people hop on my product for a few days and sell the product. It's like, oh, well, it doesn't really matter. I don't really worry about people stealing my ideas. Some people are really secretive about that because it takes a fair amount of work to get going with these. And I know that like most people aren't willing to do the work. They aren't willing to get started with it. But actually, we're working on. I guess a little teaser here. We're working on something to help sellers get reviews because I feel like that's still like a pretty strong struggle in the marketplace right now. There's a few other like companies and software and product stuff that are trying to do it, but I don't think there's anything that's like great at it yet. So maybe in a month or two, I'll show you guys something we're working on.
Cool, right on. We'll be excited to take a look at it.
All right.
Well, okay. So everybody who's attending the call, it's now or never. Get your questions in for Greg. We're coming up on how much time do we have left, Shawn? Got about 15 minutes left.
Yep.
So come on, guys. You hardly ever get a fellow like Greg who's, what do you, if you don't mind sharing, and of course you don't have to do that, but what do you think your gross sales are on Amazon, or what are you on pace to hit this year, do you think?
We'll do over 5 million this year in sales.
Is it over 5 million?
Yeah.
Man, that's a little disappointing, isn't it? All right. Okay. So one of the attendees is asking, can JungleScout be used on more than one computer? Like, can I install it at home and at work and on my husband's laptop?
Yeah. And there's once you log into your account, you'll see a little blurb instructions for that. But yeah, you can. It's only licensed for one user, but you can install it like at home and at work or whatever.
Yeah, it was really easy. That's something I really appreciate about you guys. You know, we ended up having to buy a new laptop to go to ASD. I was sweating it pretty big time because I've got my, I had JungleScout installed here in the office. And I was really worried I wasn't going to be able to install it on the notebook and take it to Vegas with me.
Right.
But, I was able to do that, get it done. And I really appreciate that about you guys, that you didn't make it a nightmare to make that happen. So
yeah, right on.
I always, the way I look at software licensing is I always pay for licensing. I don't pirate anymore. I probably did that a little bit too much when I was younger. And so, if I'm using JungleScout on the desktop here in the office, I don't use it on the laptop. I just have one person using it at a time. Of course, that's sort of an honor system thing, but I recommend that people try to abide by that if they can. Because it's expensive to do what you're doing, to put this tool out, right? I mean, this has not been.
Most people don't realize actually how expensive software development is, including myself starting out, to be honest with you. And I guess it's because like a lot of like software like style products are like free, but it's because like they're backed by Google, who like has tons of money to develop this stuff. But good software developers make a lot of money, like $50, $60, $70 an hour. So it's like, if you hire one or two of those guys full time, it's like, man, you have a few $100,000 of expenses each year. Not to mention other servers to run your stuff. So it's like, yeah, I mean, most people don't realize how expensive software development is, and people might not be getting quite as rich as you think off of it.
Right, exactly. Okay, so there's a bunch more questions that are starting to come in. Brenda was asking, how many reviews are too many? I'm not sure, Brenda, if you could expand on that. Are you asking, is there like a level where Amazon's algorithm? Oh, okay. What she means is how many reviews are too many? Like, what's your cutoff when you're trying to determine if there's too much competition? Is it 50?
Yeah.
Is it 500? Is it 1,000?
Yeah. So I'd just like to see. Let's see. Are you guys still on my screen, or can you see my face?
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So an easy way to think about it is that just assume that you can jump someone in ranking if you have more reviews than them. That's not entirely true, but it's like an easy way to just kind of think about it when you're searching for products. So, for instance, on an item that I give away 50 units to start, I'll usually get about like 35 reviews on that. So from that, you can just kind of get an idea of how many units you have to give away to start getting enough reviews to matter. So, like on this one right here, I could give away, just 50 units, which isn't too many for like a private label product, get about 35 reviews right away. And then, I'd be up next to this guy around the number 4 spot. So, on some of this really competitive stuff, you might be able to get up there on the first 10, but if you need 1,000 reviews, it's like, all right, I have to give away, maybe like 1,500 products, and that it's getting pretty expensive.
Right. Especially if you're just testing a new product, right? So.
Yeah, exactly.
We try to on this product that we're doing, and maybe I'll do a webinar on this just as what I learned, but we're trying to have like a full test for under $2,000. We did our initial order for $500. Sorry, no, we didn't. We did our initial order for 500 units, which was a lot more money than $500. Sorry. So 500 units to start, and then our follow-up order, as long as we can get some legs to it, is going to be 1,500 units, right? And then we'll make a decision whether or not we'll keep it going, I guess. Do you have any guidance as far as that goes, or?
Yeah. So I used to. It's kind of tough. It's like now I'm like real confident in my ability to determine usually before I order it whether it's going to be a good product or not. So So I might be willing to order a little more than someone like just starting out if it was their first product. But now I've actually usually found that like 500 units isn't enough to do like a good product launch. And I'll like always sell out before I get more units, more product in. And that's usually because like most of the lead time, even with air shipping for most of my factories, is like a month. So if I order 500 units, I give away 50 or 100 to start, and then it's selling 10 or 15 a day. It's like, man, I always run out before I can get in more inventory. So now I'll usually start out with 1,000. And I usually always know that I can sell more than that. It's just you also don't want to do like too big of an order just starting out, because you want to make sure the factory does a decent job producing the stuff.
Right.
I haven't been like burned bad by anyone yet. There's been like a few ones that like I wasn't real happy with the quality, like the sample seemed much higher quality than the actual product. But I mean, it'll still, it still sells. I was just probably won't get quite a good reviews as what I was hoping. But overall, I've actually had pretty good experience from some of the horror stories that I've heard with like ordering from factories in China.
Right on. Okay, so let's keep powering through this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so from Darren, he says, I understand you use this tool mostly for private label. How much do you use this tool for online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, percentage-wise, or do you think it's just as effective?
Yeah, so I don't, like I said, I don't personally do like any retail or online arbitrage. I know a lot of guys do use it for that. As far as how you use it, I know there's kind of a lot of different methods. You can kind of see right here so all these boxes right here, this is all the different type of information that we're able to, extract from these products. So, if you just think any of this information displayed to you really quickly and easily is, helpful for your online or retail arbitrage, then yeah, and maybe it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I don't really use it for retail arbitrage, but I definitely use it for online arbitrage. If I'm looking at an online arbitrage deal, it makes things really easy to see. You got your net, your net after Amazon fees over there all the way to the right in JungleScout Pro, and that just tells you in an instant whether or not you're going to be able to make money on it, and then you're going to be able to see velocity because of rank and estimated sales. I mean, it just makes it a lot easier. But I don't carry it with me when I'm like, I don't try to use it in the field when I'm scanning for retail arbitrage or anything like that. So
yeah, it's definitely not going to replace one of the scanner products or anything.
Right.
It's a different use, obviously.
Okay, so another person in the group is asking, if we purchase the Pro version, are we eligible for all upgrades, new versions, fixes, etc. in the future, or will there be additional charges?
Yeah, so it's with both the regular and the Pro version, it's a one-time fee, so it's yours to keep forever, but support and updates are included for a year. So then if you want, a year from now, future updates, you can pay a discounted fee to get, ongoing support and all the updates.
Yeah, when I bought JungleScout, obviously before we met Greg, but I bought JungleScout a couple months ago, and then you guys released Pro. And I was really worried, because I wanted Pro, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to have to pay $160. But you guys made that easy too, right? It was just paying the difference between the regular version and the Pro version. And so even though I didn't get any cool discounts, I mean, I was, happy to pay that price, because they certainly have made more than $160 using the software. It's been well worth it.
Yeah, most people say, that's a huge value to them, because a lot of the other products are, monthly prices. So, like maybe 30 or 40 bucks a month doesn't seem like too much, but if you factor over a year, it's like, it kind of gets expensive. Whereas JungleScout, it's just a one-time fee. So
exactly. And I think, having support and upgrades for a year, it's kind of how most software as a service or online software does it, and yeah, I mean, quite frankly, I don't mind paying a little more for like the jump from JungleScout to JungleScout Pro, for me, and I'm not making money. Greg's not paying me anything, but for me, it was worth the difference in price, especially because it was a one-time fee instead of it being a monthly hit. you know.
Yeah, I will say this because I don't want to mislead anyone. For the pro version, if you want access to these additional columns, FBA feed tier, sellers, dimensions, and net, you do have to enter your API keys. Now, anyone who already has a professional seller's account with Amazon, you can get those. If you only have an individual seller's account with Amazon, those are not available to you. You can get a first month of professional seller's account for free if you want. So yeah, but you do have to have a professional seller's account to kind of unlock those on the pro version.
Right on. All right. Linda asks, does JungleScout support Amazon UK market? There were a few questions about JungleScout on the Amazon entrepreneurs Facebook group, mostly UK sellers.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we started collecting data for UK, I think like in the middle of July. So by the end of this month, I'll have, actually I think maybe it was the beginning of July. By the end of this month, we'll have enough data to feel comfortable accurately modeling the estimated sales. So like the first week in September is when that will be available. Right now, the rest of the columns with JungleScout work, so like price, category, rank, rating, buy box seller and stuff, all those already work on the UK store, but you don't have estimated sales and revenue yet. So yeah.
And I really appreciate that you guys are being conscientious about releasing those features, because there's some software out there like Shawn was mentioning right now that just releasing these numbers, and you got to wonder where they're coming up with them, so
yeah, I've noticed on one of the other competitors, I kind of had to laugh a little bit to myself, but they use the same algorithm to estimate sales for all of the categories. So like a rank of 1,000 in toys and games and home, or patio, lawn and garden will sell the same amount, and for all of the stores like UK and Canada and stuff. So it's like there's like one equation. I mean, that's why it's so far off, obviously, but that they claim works for like UK and Canada, which obviously sell different amounts of volume than US and all the categories. So yeah, just if you look, I'd be mindful of that. I'm not. We just want to release really high quality stuff that I'm happy to put my name and face behind, not just try to get extra sales.
All right. Okay, one last question, and then we'll be wrapping it up here. Amy asks, and Darren, I saw it. I was just saving it for the end. Any plans for an app for JungleScout?
Yeah, it'd be cool to have. Like Google Chrome won't let you use extensions on phones and tablets and stuff, so we'll have to do kind of like a standalone. But yeah, I've recently grown our development team. Actually, I have 3 people working for me now because we're trying to release a few new products as well. And yeah, it's definitely on the list. So maybe at the end of this year, the beginning of 2016.
I mean, the challenge with that is it's a whole new piece of software, right? It's not like you can just plug it into a porting program and voila, you have an app, right? I mean,
right. That's what. Thing. Yeah, I have a list of like just tons of like software and features and everything I'd love to have, but it's like, man, I need enough manpower to program all this stuff. But an app would be really cool. It's something I would definitely like to do.
All right. So, Greg, I think you were going to have something for the group tonight, possibly. Did you get a chance to? Yeah,
you can get a little discount on JungleScout if you go to junglescout.com/mayo.
Yeah, so we've been working hard for you guys, Shawn and I, sending emails furiously back and forth to Greg. And we really appreciate Greg being willing to give us a discount as a group. Please say thank you in the chat. And if you get a chance to send him an email or a note or something on Facebook, be sure to say thank you.
Yeah, so if you don't already have it and like to do so, you can save a little bit of money purchasing through this link.
So I think your screen might have frozen up. Did you put it on there? Or?
Yeah, let me put it in the chat box. It's junglescout.com/mayo. Yeah, I guess I am kind of frozen here. I can't click anything.
Yeah, I posted it in the chat already.
Okay, cool.
A couple times, apparently.
Uh,
Yeah, your screen is frozen for me too.
all right.
Well, at least we didn't lose the connection, the audio or anything. That was a miracle.
There we go. I was surprised with Australia's like Wi-Fi and internet. It's pretty terrible, actually. I was expecting it to be just as good as the States, being a well-developed, pretty wealthy country, but overall it's not very good.
I hear South Korea is the place where you get amazing internet.
Is that right?
Yeah. My buddy's over there right now, and they've got like one 1 gig to every single residence in the whole country. It's crazy.
Nice. That's like Singapore too.
Yeah. Man, this is a good deal. Holy smokes! Are you sure I can't get like a partial refund for all the buys that I've,
Mark, I think I can definitely hook you up. Shoot me an email.
No, that's okay. I'm happy to have paid the price that I paid, because I want you to keep coming out with good stuff. So, yeah, so $127 for the Pro version, guys, and $69 for the regular version. Hell of a good deal. As far as I know, Shawn and I are not. This is not affiliate stuff. This is just straight from Greg. And go out and get your copy and start tearing it up out there. All right.
Guess I'll have to buy you guys lunch next time I see you.
Fair enough. Well, Greg, thank you so much. Did you want to say anything, parting words or anything like that?
Not really. Just if you guys haven't, I definitely recommend taking action, just getting going. The getting on Amazon right now is good. I know some people sometimes get discouraged because they feel like everyone's getting into Amazon right now, and it's really easy to think that way if you're always hanging out in the Facebook groups that show that. But since I started over like 2 years ago, I think like the competition, the amount of sellers is kind of growing with the extra demand that Amazon has. There's more and more customers every day, just like there's more and more sellers. So I don't know if it's gonna be true a year from now if you watch this replay then, but right now it's still a really good time to get on it, get selling.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. There were a lot of people in Vegas at ASD, of course, but I was shocked at the number of people that were there that were not on Amazon, that were on, still on eBay or still on, selling in brick and mortar stores. And,
right.
I don't know if you can tell this about me, but I like to talk to people. And and I talked to a lot of people that were there, and there were only, a handful of the people I spoke with were actually selling on Amazon. So doesn't mean they weren't there, but
right.
I think it's a great time. So, all right, guys, I hope you found this very interesting. Greg, thank you so much for your time. It's
absolutely
11 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 11 in Australia, in the morning. Thank goodness. Thanks for making time for us halfway around the world. I really appreciate it.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me on, guys.
You bet. All right, Shawn, you got anything? Your mic's not on.
I think he answered all my questions. We're good. Great.
Right. All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks.